Hi guys, I'm Saumya and I'm back again with another video. I hope you're all well. So I make a lot of bookish content on this channel. If you are a book lover and a reader or would like to become one, then do hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click on the bell icon. So today's video is going to be dedicated to Japanese literature and Japanese books that I have read so far. I've been trying to discover more and more books by Japanese authors, and in this video I am going to talk about 10 Japanese books that I have read so far and my experience with them. So I will not be talking about Haruki Murakami's titles in this particular video. I have made a separate video about his books, so you can check that one out if you would like to. Earlier it used to be just Murakami, but these days readers are really big on discovering and exploring Japanese literature, myself included. If you are one such reader, let me know in the comments if you have read any of the books from my list, or you can leave your own list in the comment section. I'll look forward to it. The first book is The Honjin Murders or The Honjin Murders by Seishi Yokomizo. So this story is set in 1937, so it has that historical fiction angle to it as well. So this story has been narrated by a murder mystery author whose name has not been revealed, and he basically reconstructs the entire murder for the benefit of the reader. This story takes place in a village in Japan, and there is this really influential and really rich family in that village called the Ichiyanagi family, and their son, the eldest son, is going to get married. So everybody is very excited about this grand affair. The wedding ceremony takes place, and on the night of the wedding, screams are heard in the Ichiyanagi residence, and obviously a murder is committed. So this is the first book in the Kosuke Kindaichi files, and Kosuke Kindaichi is the detective who gets introduced in this story, and unsurprisingly he has a peculiar personality. There are characters who are introduced to solve the murder, there are hints, there are rumors in the story as to who might have committed the murder. Overall, towards the end, I was not able to guess who committed the murder or even the cause of murder. It came as a surprise, but it was unexpected in a very weird sort of way. If I compare it with other murder mysteries that I have read, I've certainly read better books, but overall still it wasn't a bad experience. The next book is Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi. So this is a story about a woman named Miss Shibata who works in a paper company. This part reminded me of The Office, but unfortunately that's where the similarity ended. Anyway, Miss Shibata has to do all the menial tasks around her office. In addition to her main job, she has to pick up everybody's dirty cups, she has to photocopy documents, she has to bring everyone coffee, and she has to do all these menial tasks because everybody assumes that it's her responsibility because she's a woman. So Miss Shibata decides that she's going to pretend to be pregnant, and this is exactly what she does, and this brings about a complete change in her lifestyle. Fellow employees stop expecting her to do menial jobs, and she also gets to leave work early. So this story is about the lengths that Miss Shibata is going to go to keep up the pretense of being pregnant, and it also talks about the issues faced by women in the Japanese society. So overall the concept of this story was very fascinating, and for the first few pages I was hooked, but that's where the interest and the engagement ended, because after a point, very early on in the book actually, this story got insufferably slow, and I was thinking that I might have to DNF it. I somehow braved through the entire book and I finished it. Really, this book is something that I do not recommend to anybody because it's very boring. The next book is Otogi Zoshi, the fairy tale book of Dazai Osamu. So this is a collection of 4 stories, 4 fairy tales, and it is actually a collection of 4 retellings of these 4 widely known Japanese fairy tales. So I thought the concept of this book was very unique and interesting, and obviously it was going to be completely new for me. So that's why I went for this book and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I totally recommend this book. It's going to give you a completely new experience in a very good way. Overall, it's a very magical experience. I mean, not surprising because it's a book of fairy tales. So each story has something unique and special about it. Each story leaves you with something to think about, and each story is very easy to read. I know this is a translation, but I will say that it's a very good translation because it was very effective and impactful, and I just loved it. The next book is All the Lovers in the Night by Miko Kawakami. So I must say that Miko Kawakami might be becoming my new favorite author because this was my second title by her. I'll talk about my first title by her in a little while in this video itself. So this is a story about a woman in her 30s. Her name is Fuyuko. Irie or Fuyuko Irie, I'm not sure. So she is a freelance proofreader. So there is this one colleague, this one work connection she has with another woman who gives and sends her manuscripts and galleys to proofread, but apart from that there is nobody in her life and she's very lonely. But then eventually she meets a man named Mitsutsuka, who is in his late 50s, and they form a bond. And well, things start to change in Fuyuko's life. She starts to feel emotions, and then we also get to read about her past traumatic experiences. Overall, this is a very sad book. But if you are an introvert, you know what it feels like to be completely by yourself and that sort of energy. If you are aware of that, then you might want to pick this one up. The next book is The Woman in the Purple Skirt by Natsuko Imamura. So this story has been narrated by a woman in the yellow cardigan, and she stalks the woman in the purple skirt. So this story has a creepy, weird undertone to it because of this particular aspect. Eventually we get to know the woman in the purple skirt more closely. We get to know her as a person, about her life. We get to know a lot about our narrator as well. Overall, when you read this story, you kind of wonder to yourself as to what is the point of all this, but still it's quite exciting and thrilling in a very unique and a fascinating manner. The way the story ends is also unexpected, and overall this is the kind of book that you can definitely pick up if you want to try something different that will not disappoint you. The next book is The Thief by Fuminori Nakamura. So this is a story about a man who is a thief, as the title suggests. More specifically, he is a pickpocket. He is able to steal wallets very deftly. It's almost like magic. He's very good at what he does. I mean, nobody can tell that this man is going to rob them. Also, he dresses up in a very sophisticated manner, so he is completely inconspicuous. So his life is going smoothly, but one day a partner from his past, a man named Ishikawa, shows up with a new job. So this thief has to tie up a rich man and steal the contents of his safe and leave just like that. So this is an easy enough job and the thief accomplishes it. But the next day all hell breaks loose when this thief discovers that that man that he stole from was actually a big politician, and after this thief left, he was murdered. So now this thief is caught in a dangerous web. So a very thrilling story, and I totally recommend it. It's a very no-nonsense story. It gets straight to the point and it does not disappoint you at all. The next book is Heaven by Miko Kawakami. So this was the other title by Miko Kawakami that I was talking about earlier in the video. Heaven has been narrated by a 14-year-old boy who gets bullied brutally by his classmates because he has a lazy eye. Eventually in the story, he becomes friends with his classmate, a girl named Kojima, who is also bullied for her appearance, and this collective experience becomes the basis of their friendship. Eventually, as the story progresses, we get to read about the conversations between our narrator and Kojima. These conversations are somewhat abstract, but they are also quite moving, and we also read about the bullying experiences that these two kids have to undergo, and my god, these experiences are absolutely brutal, and that's why this book can be a pretty triggering read for many readers. This is a very intense reading experience, but at the same time you are not able to put it down until you finish it. Overall, it's a very impactful read, and if you have the heart to take it, then do pick this story up. The next book is Sweet Bean Paste by Durian Sokegawa. So this is a story about two people, a man named Sentaro and an elderly woman named Tokue. So Sentaro is not happy in his life. He has practically failed. He has a criminal record and he wanted to be an author once, but that does not seem to be happening at all for him. At present, he runs a confectionery shop and he sells doriyaki there. This reminded me of the Doro cakes that we used to see in Doraemon. Anyway, Tokue is an elderly woman with disfigured hands, and one day she approaches Sentaro and she requests him to let her work in his shop for a pittance. She just really wants to work there. So Sentaro reluctantly agrees, and eventually he discovers that Tokue makes the best sweet bean paste, a paste that is used in doriyaki, and because of her sweet bean paste, the business starts to pick up and Sentaro and Tokue form an unlikely friendship. This is a story of friendship. This is a story of people finding happiness in unlikely places. Somewhat slow, but still reading this book is a beautiful experience, and I totally recommend that you pick it up if you want to read something that is going to make you smile but also will bring tears to your eyes. The next book is Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. I absolutely love and adore this book and I cannot recommend this one enough. So this is a story about a 36-year-old woman named Keiko Furukura who works at a convenience store. So she has been working at this convenience store for the past 18 years. She joined this as a part-time job, but she just never left. Other employees kept leaving, but she stayed where she was. This difference in Keiko's personality became apparent even in her childhood, when she would do unusual things that would bring attention to the fact that she was different, and not necessarily in a good way. Eventually, through life, Keiko learned to tone her actual nature down, and in this book we get to read about her struggles, about her experiences, about how she goes on living her life. This book is very, very interesting. It keeps your interest hooked and you feel Keiko's struggle. It makes you sad as well, and it makes some really hard hitting points about the society that we live in as well. If you want to start reading Japanese literature, this can be very well a good first read for you. The next book or the next books are Before the Coffee Gets Cold series by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. At this point, this should not be surprising. I love these books and I cannot recommend them enough. So there are 3 books so far in this series. The first one is called Before the Coffee Gets Cold, the second one is Tales from the Cafe, and the third one is Before Your Memory Fades. The first 2 books take place in Cafe Funiculi Funicula, and the third book takes place in Cafe Donna Donna. The concept of these books and this story is of time travel. These cafes enable people to travel in time, but there are certain difficult conditions that have to be followed, and as a result of these difficult conditions, many people give up on the idea of time travel because to them it seems pointless. But still there are certain people who choose to travel in time despite these difficult conditions, and these stories are about them and their experiences. These stories are very, very wholesome. They make you cry, they make you smile, and in the end, I will say this as I've said before, it feels like your time that went in reading these books was well spent. So that's it. These are the 10 Japanese books that I wanted to talk about in today's video. I hope you liked watching this video, and let me know if you have read any of these books, and you can leave your recommendations in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to connect with me on my social media, the links are in the description. I will see you next time. Till then, bye bye, take care and stay safe.